We have been conditioned to ignore the cameras or accept that they're there. Even when they're on the telephone pole by your house and they blink red and blue constantly 24 hours a day. We joke about how when we say the word car, all of a sudden we start seeing car ads on our phones or on our computers. We've been conditioned, or is it brainwashed, to accept the fact that we're being watched and tracked and surveilled all the time. But surveillance has a new terms of service agreement. Did you know this? Did you check the box? Did you read the service agreement? Did you read the terms of service that you accept every day when you go out the door? Of course you didn't. You didn't even know one existed. You're right. There's not a terms of agreement that you have to read, giving them permission to constantly surveil us, watch us, monitor us, and collect our data. And I know you didn't check the box. There's not one, right? But if you did have the option every morning before you left the house to check a box to agree to be followed, videoed, watched, and listened to, would you consciously check the box on the terms of service agreement? People don't even read the terms of service agreements now. And in the back of our minds, we know we are being tracked and having everything about us stored. We even joke about the pop-up ads that we get after we say something on an electronic device. We have been conditioned to automatically accept surveillance. Forget about our Fourth Amendment rights. What about basic privacy? But there seems to be one statement that seems to make everyone feel all right about giving up privacy and letting our rights be downgraded to a trade off for convenience or acceptance, or not having to the not having the will to argue about it. And that is, but I'm not doing anything wrong, so why should I worry? That one statement seems to make everybody feel better, that they're actually accepting surveillance. I'm not doing anything wrong, so what do I have to worry about? Well, I'm going to explain that to you here in just a second. I could go on for hours about surveillance being on the rise, or how it's at its peak in China and what is happening there with surveillance, social credit scores, and how their lives and money is controlled by all of those factors. But most people do not have a clue. And most of the remaining will think that, well, that's over there. So for the ones that don't have a clue how bad it is over there and they're ignoring it, they're willful participants in the surveillance here in America. And for the ones that keep wanting to argue, well, that's China. We're not, they surveil each other over there. Well, they're just much more advanced about it. And everybody has willfully accepted. People want to argue, we're in America. That doesn't happen here. We have freedom and a constitution. Oh, really? Have you seen the cameras going up everywhere? A clear violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. And those are only the cameras that we see. Google has little devices that they put in store. They're the size of like a AA battery, and it stores, willfully put it up. They have to agree to it. But those little AA battery size things that you don't see, they put them on a wall someplace or whatever. It picks up everyone who comes in the store. They're tracking you. Have you heard about the flock cameras? Those things are going up everywhere. The flock cameras are being put up for free in cities, and they're getting permission from local governments, because the flock cameras say, well, we're going to help you watch for crime. We're going to help you monitor things that are going on. They're getting permission from the politicians, not the people. And the cameras are being sold as a way to fight crime while they video and collect your daily patterns, license plates, and every piece of data about you while tracking you while you're out in public. And 99% of people don't even know that those flock cameras are being put up everywhere. But you'll see them now that you hear about them. You know, they got a little solar panel, a little camera, and they're being put up for free. Governments love it. You mean we don't have to pay for it and we get to spy on our citizens and have access to the data? Well, those cameras are collecting data. It's being sold to businesses. But I'm not doing anything wrong, you know, and but it isn't it worth giving up some privacy if it means we can catch the bad guys quicker, reduce crime, or prevent crime? Many people will say yes. But what happens when you become the criminal? But I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not going to be a criminal. Ah, not until politicians need more money. And when they can't raise taxes, you know, because people start starting to wake up and vote against them. But when they can't raise taxes or they can't get it through fines and fees and penalties, they'll figure it out through surveillance. And when groups or people in power figure out that they can control you through the data they collect, you will have to pay your way out with money or your freedom. So here is the setup for why you have to worry even if you think you're not doing anything wrong. We have politicians, legislators, bureaucratic agencies, town and county and parish governments, local school boards, commissions, and agencies, taxing districts, or entities that have destroyed budgets, mismanaged money. You see how I went into that? All those agencies and entities and governments have all destroyed budgets. They've all mismanaged money. They've all ran up the debts and they continue to create rules and laws that control the way we live for the greater good in society, of course. And I get it that while many laws are good to hold society in check and together, many of them are egregious, burdensome, controlling, costly, and inefficient. Think about your local governments. They've got laws that you can't paint your house without a permit. You can't put a roof on your house without a permit. There's the list goes on and on and on and on and on. How and people don't even realize it. Well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I guess I just never am faced with that. That's the thing. They keep continuing to create all these little small rules and laws that most people don't know about because they're either not paying attention, they're too busy, quote, not doing anything wrong, yet they don't know about some of these other little rules and laws that are being created through local governments and state legislatures. They don't realize it. They're too busy. They're kept occupied. And all of these local governments are creating not only for control, these rules and laws, but I'm sorry, that was repetitive, I know. But here's what happens. Let me just explain it this way. And I'm gonna go into this a little bit more later too. We elect people to go in and do the right thing, but they get in there and they realize that government needs money. Best way to get money, taxes, fees, and penalties. And you don't just find a penalty like, you know, there's, of course, the small things like the fees and the little, you know, the how shall I say this, permit fees or little penalties for, you know, not cutting your grass right. I get it. It holds society together. But I'm just giving you a quick example. And that's how government gets funds itself. So politicians get elected. They start seeing that, well, with more fees, fines, and penalties, we collect a little bit more money without tax increases. Now they're realizing that with surveillance, data collection, and cameras everywhere, it's going to be easier to get those fines and fees paid by everyone, especially the ones who didn't know that they were there. And when government gets bigger with growth, of course, right? When government gets bigger, it becomes more egregious, more burdensome, more controlling. And with growth, because that's what happens as government grows, it gets a little bit bigger. So they buy another truck for the grass department or for the parks department. They hire another person to be another manager for the other 10 people that got hired. So when government gets more money and gets bigger and needs more of your money, and the economy goes down and taxes go down for them, and government starts hurting, whether it's business that's slow, in the community that is, they need to collect more fines, fees, and penalties. And who do they get that from? You, us, we, the citizen. It needs money to fix itself and stay in business. And when it creates so many laws that the citizens suffer financially, as a result, they come back to us and tax us more because government starts losing money. Look, government has created the problem of many of economies with rules and regulations that are overburdensome, taxes. They mess up, on a national level. They continually messing with the economy through different legislation. We have a Fed that controls interest rates. It's all politicians and bureaucrats that have been able to control our economy. When it hurts, they hurt a little bit, not much, of course. But the more it grows, the more money it needs. And in coming soon, with $39 trillion in debt right now, they will need more surveillance to make sure that we're paying our fair share. And that surveillance is not going to stop with cameras. Politicians create so many laws in DC, in state legislatures, and on county levels. You are always in jeopardy of doing something wrong. And politicians will never stop because they have to do something to make themselves relevant, and they have to do something to run the business of government. And right, I know somebody's in the back saying, "Oh, well, we need government, to roads and bridges." Again, the problem is growing governments have gotten into more space or more areas than just roads and bridges. And that's a whole other topic for another day. They create laws at the whims of a government is always looking for a reason to create another rule and law. Take the state legislatures, for example. They don't stop because they always need something to fix. As I said before, people are always saying, "Well, how many laws did that legislator pass?" So legislators are always feeling the need to make it look like they did something, and the only way they have to do that is creating a rule or a law. And in the process, people are losing freedom. And most of these legislators are creating laws at the whim of an NGO or at the behest of a lobbyist or at a how shall I say, somebody who comes to them with some idea. They go, "Wow, that's such a great idea. Let's do it." And pausing for a second with this thought, let me back up and explain what I meant, because I'm realizing that. So a lot of our local laws, our state laws, and even our national laws, they get they get how shall I say this? They start with think tanks, an NGO, a lobbyist, somebody who says, "Hey, we got this law. Here's an idea to be able to save puppies, save the old people." Who cares that somebody's gonna lose a little freedom with this? You're saving puppies. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but it happens on local levels with the overreach of government. It happens on state levels with the overreach of government. And when many of these laws are getting put into place, or a better way to say it, as they're getting put into place, somebody is losing freedom. Somebody is losing a little liberty. But they always say it's for the puppies, it's for the children, it's for the old people. And we'll even do a fundraiser for you to help you out, help support you through this. My point is, all of these rules and laws that have been put in place and continue to be put in place are now being coupled with enforcement through surveillance. They're never going to stop creating more laws, especially on a local level where regulations become fees and fines that fund government. And when a person becomes an elected official, they become a bureaucrat, and funding government becomes their priority. And all of the surveillance will only help them. Just like businesses are using all the data they collect through your apps, Google searches, tracking your spending, surveillance of you, and now through the flock cameras they're putting up everywhere in order to market to you and get you to buy from them. Government is doing the exact same thing, and they're using all of the surveillance to figure out, with the surveillance, using the same techniques, how to get more control of you, me, and all the citizens to be able to get to more of our money. With surveillance and data collection, they are going to be able to figure out how to get more control and more money. For the greater good to control society and more money, all in the name of, this surveillance is just to catch the bad people. I'm going to talk about that in a second, because people who run for office that promise freedom and liberty and doing the right thing and saving the puppies and the old people, they end up becoming bureaucrats when they get in office, and they find out that government has bills to pay, and a growing government makes them look better. And the way to fund a growing government is for you to pay more taxes. And then they put those tax increases on the next off ballot election, and they guilt you with the responsibility that you have to vote for the tax increase, because if you don't vote for the tax increase, you're not saving the puppies and the old people. Over time, you pay more and government grows, and they realize that surveillance and data collection is the best thing for them to maintain government and stay in power. Once they surveil you constantly and collect more data and get rid of cash, because they're pushing for that next, they then have control of the digital currency. Then they will figure out how to not only fine you and tax you and penalize you for all the things they can take out of your digital wallet that they, by the way, control. But surveillance is going to get the bad guys, and I'm not doing anything wrong. While that argument can be made, it's what they tell you to give them the ability to usher in more of it and brainwash more people to accept it. I'm sorry. Uh, Condition people to accept it. Or look at it this way. If most of society is not committing crimes at this point right now, let's face it, most people are the average law-abiding citizens, they go a mile an hour the speed limit or whatever. But if most of society is not committing crimes, why are they watching all of us and monitoring all of us? I know, because that's how you get the little bad guys. But if they truly stop crime with this surveillance, with all of the surveillance, what do you think they are going to do with the system of data collection? You think once they eliminate crime, they're going to go, oh no, we don't need this data collection or this surveillance anymore. Well, of course not. Some people say, well, I know, I hear you in the back. Well, that's how they're going to keep crime from ever happening again. But think about this. Once they reduce crime or they stop it because the criminals go, oh, I'm not going to commit any crimes. I might get caught on a camera. Heck, they don't care now about the crimes they're committing on camera, and they see themselves on camera, and everybody sees them, and they don't care because we've got so many liberal judges in office around the country that release the criminals. You've got all these criminals out on the street that are constantly reoccurring crime. I'm sorry, they're constantly, doing more crime. The recidivism rate is out the box sometimes of some of these criminals that they keep letting out. But yet we need more crime cameras to solve more crime. No, we need more judges to do the right thing and lock the bad guys up, especially the recidivist. But again, when they reduce crime to zero, say, and they say, see, it's good that we're watching you all the time. It's good that you're under surveillance. It's good that we're collecting your data. We stop crime. When they can see you more and they can keep collecting data on you and they can keep watching you and they can keep watching your habits, like with the flock cameras, driving down the road, your daily routine, when they can watch you more, do you think they're going to stop at that? Do you think they're just going, well, we stopped crime. We don't have to use these cameras for anything else? No. They're going to figure out how to use the technology to get more money out of us. When they can see you more and and collect more data on you, they will figure out how to profit from it. But I'm not breaking the law. You don't have to be breaking the law. Government always wants more control. And with surveillance, they're going to get more control. And once they have more control, don't think they're not going to find more ways to fine you and penalize you with that control. And politicians are always looking for a way, like I said, to fund more government, and surveillance is the best way. And digital currency is going to be the final nail in the coffin of freedom when they figure out how to implement that. Let me, I'm going in one direction. I'm staying on the same direction. Let me say this, but I want to bring up another parallel point, I'll say. Because a lot of people use the excuse as but I'm not doing anything wrong. Here's another answer for those people. Have you ever went 1 mile an hour over the speed limit? Or, I don't know, jaywalked? Have you littered, even accidentally? Put your trash out on a day early? That's a city ordinance. You're not supposed to do that. Giving your lawn boy cash? Let's say a digital world, you're not supposed to be doing cash. Of course, there will be not any cash, but just for example purposes. Have you ever done any work on your house without the proper permit? You're like, hey, I'm not going to go through the permit department. I just need to extend my driveway a little bit. I'm just going to, I don't know, I'm going to paint my house. Have you ever done anything like that? Hey, look, it's illegal to collect rainwater in some states. There could be 1,000 shows for hours and hours and hours talking about all the little things that are rules and regulations in local governments and state governments around our country that make people criminals for simple little things that every human should, be able to at least, I say, get away with. I mean, yeah, if you accidentally drop, trash or you collect rainwater, there's a lot of those little things, those little laws around there. The more permission you give the government through surveillance. And when all these little things start adding up, because you go, well, the government did create a little rule that said I can't go 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Well, I mean, yeah, of course, the speed limit's a speed limit, but I mean, now they'll give you a break with a few miles an hour over, sometimes 5 or 10. But when they are surveilling you and they don't have to physically write a ticket and they got you on digital currency and they're surveilling you, that's the third time he went 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. We're going to fine or penalize his digital account, or like they do in China, put it against your social credit score. If they're already watching us after crime goes away and they've used the excuses for crime, and let's just say they're able to get rid of it, you don't think they're going to continue to use that technology to surveil people more and more? It reminds me of this. The quote, "Show me the person and I'll show you the crime." It's attributed to some guy, Barry is the last name. I don't remember the first name, begins with an L or something. He was a friend. He's actually, people think that's Joseph Stalin, but he was a friend of, he was the head of Joseph Stalin's secret police or something like that. He was known for ruthless tactics and claimed he could find criminal conduct on anyone, even the innocent. And as the political winds or the pendulum swings in with the political winds, we'll say, people are afraid right now of Donald Trump. People are afraid of Biden. People are afraid of Obama. My point is, as the pendulum swings, when you're on the opposite side, or you're afraid of the person who's in power on the opposite side from you, that person can use these same things against you. And if we allow it, if we continue to be passive and allow the surveillance, and I'm not saying go pitchforks, and I'm not saying, tear down cameras, but politicians are only getting away with adding the cameras and giving permission for the flock cameras because they know we don't know about it. You got to show up at your council meetings. You got to go talk to your legislators and say there should be legislation that for our government to put up cameras, they need the people's permission. For government to surveil us or collect data, we want a law protecting our Fourth Amendment rights. There's ways to do this. I understand technology and reducing crime, and I get that. But we have to be proactive, positively, in a way to put some handcuffs on politicians, or put some handcuffs on government, I'll say, that does not allow them to walk all over our privacy in the name of the good of society. Yes, technology can be a good thing. I get it. Technology can be used in positive ways to reduce some crime. I get it. But there's going to come a point when we have given government too much permission, our passivity has allowed government to surveil us all the time, everywhere, in everything we do, and use it against all of us. When that pendulum swings in the wrong direction towards somebody who would rather be a dictator than a representative of the people, they're going to use these powers in place against us. But when government can watch and monitor and surveil everything you do and store data, they can add up the stop. But stop. I'll repeat. When government can watch and monitor and surveil everything you do and store that data, they can add up every time you jaywalked. They can add up every time you sped over 1 mile an hour of the speed limit. They can add up every time you didn't wear a mask or bought raw milk, et cetera, et cetera. Because when they eventually can add up everything because they've got data on you, they've collected the data, they surveilled you, and they find you an uncompliant citizen, it's all going to be used against you. Or worse yet, this type of control and power in the wrong hands will be used against you. Like I've said a moment ago, we think in terms of today on local levels. We elect friends and people who we like. It all feels good. We put our guy there. Our guy would never turn against us. Our guy's looking out for our freedoms and our liberties, our constitutional rights. We, same with if you take it on a statewide level or a national level. We think, sure, we get people in office we like sometimes, and sometimes we don't get people that we like. But oh well, we still have our freedom and our Constitution. The problem is that when the wrong person or the wrong people eventually get in power and in control, and it will happen one day, they are going to use all of this digital power against us for their power. And there when there's somebody there you don't like who's working against you with this surveillance, you're going to wish you took a positive, proactive action before that. You show up at your county board meetings, or in Louisiana, your parish board meetings. You show up at your state legislative sessions, rather. You call your congressman. We need to start talking about this. It's no different than AI data centers. Look, they were building them fast and furiously, and now more people are waking up and talking about it, and they're showing up at the meetings, and it's slowed down. And I'm not saying eliminate technology. I'm not saying eliminate data centers. I'm not saying eliminate cameras. I'm saying we have to start putting restraints on the governments that are going to use surveillance, technology, and data collection for their good and not the greater good of the people. And if we take that positive, proactive action to make sure they know we don't want it and we want less of it, we, the people, will win. We, the people, will be able to keep our rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, especially, but we'll be able to use the data centers or the AI. We'll be able to use technology. I'll just say technology. We'll be able to use it to our benefit and the way we want to use it and enjoy a modern society with restraints on a government that could eventually use it against us. My suggestion is enjoy your electronics and your modern technology. I'm also going to tell you in another breath to avoid as much of it as you can, because avoidance of it is also not giving technology the power over you. Not that there's some, robot that's controlling you through those devices, but when you get addicted to the use of it, you are kind of controlled by it. Stop letting government get more control of it. Start noticing the cameras, start spreading the word with other people to notice. And when somebody says, but, I'm not doing anything wrong, you remind them, yeah, you're not doing anything wrong now, but one day when government gets more and more control, you could be doing something wrong when they decide that they don't want you to be a part of society, or maybe you angered the wrong person. Maybe you were just an uncompliant citizen. Maybe you're not paying enough fees. That is why it's very important. Today's show is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Get your discount on cellular service at patriotmobile.com/WWFA. You'll get some big discounts. They believe in all of our constitutional freedoms. They believe in our military. They believe in law enforcement, and they are very, very, very active in our community in a positive way for our freedoms and liberties. Go to patriotmobile.com/WWFA. Please share this show with somebody else that you think might want to find ways to secure their freedoms and privacy. Thank you all so much. I will talk to you soon in the next podcast.